Because anytime you're in jail or prison and you start to hear some chairs moving, or some feet slipping and sliding around, anytime you hear something like that, you automatically know. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to After Prison Show, and today I want to tell you guys a prison story about the craziest shakedown I ever experienced while locked up. You know, with the fact that I've spent most of my adult life locked up, I've experienced quite a few shakedowns, and I've seen quite a bit of crazy stuff take place during those shakedowns as well. Hell, I've even gotten caught with quite a bit of contraband myself, especially during the course of my last incarceration where I would spend 7 years locked up. And you know, we've talked about shakedowns before here on After Prison Show, but this prison story I'm getting ready to share with you, this without a doubt is an exclusive prison story that I can guarantee you is pretty damn crazy. Yeah, it's pretty much just that. So it's worth mentioning all that we have thus far, that what do you say we go ahead and dive head first into this video. You know, going through a shakedown in prison is going to be a very crazy experience, especially if it's your first one. I mean, you probably are not going to know what to expect. You are going to be absolutely scared to death. You're going to be dealing with some of the worst guards storming into the housing unit. These guards are oftentimes referred to as like the goon squad, and these dudes are going to be screaming at you and everybody else, barking orders. And in most cases, it's going to be absolute pandemonium inside of the housing units or cell block. But after you've served enough time, which I don't have any wood to knock on, but knock on wood, I pray and I hope that none of you ever have to experience, if you have experienced this already, I hope and pray that you never have to experience this again. But after you've served enough time, you'll start to realize that these things come around either like 2 times, 3 times, maybe even 4 times a year. And there are some pretty telltale signs that will kind of give guys like the heads up that there is a shakedown on the horizon and looming. And some of these telltale signs could be things such as waking up in the morning seeing that the telephones are cut off and they're not coming on, that prison movement on the yard, whether going to work or going to class, has been canceled or just hasn't taken place. These are certainly some telltale signs that there is a lockdown that's probably about to take place, and in all likelihood, probably a shakedown as well. Sometimes guys might get the heads up from like a cool guard. Maybe there's a guy who's positioned at the window of the housing unit, like in every single housing unit you're gonna have. This guy's gonna be standing up there like a sentry or a soldier, just watching everything that's taking place outside of that window. And this guy sees the goon squad marching into another building. That there is definitely a telltale sign that there is a shakedown that's about to take place. But with all of these telltale signs that you could potentially have, letting you know that there could be a shakedown coming. In some cases, and in the absolute worst cases, the worst shakedowns that you'll ever experience are the ones that come absolutely unexpected with no type of heads up whatsoever. And in this video, the shakedown story I'm about to share with all of you deals with a shakedown exactly like that, with no heads up whatsoever. Just the goon squad busting into the housing unit, guys not having no chance at all to get rid of all of the contraband that they most certainly have, and absolute pandemonium and chaos breaking out immediately. And you know, sitting back and thinking about all that I've said thus far, that sounds like a damn good trailer for a blockbuster movie. Hey Hollywood, holla at After Prison Show, holla at your boy. I could sell you guys some monster scripts.
What happens when prisoners are none the wiser about a shakedown looming on the horizon, and the goon squad just breaks into the housing unit, causing absolute pandemonium and chaos to erupt? Will prisoners be caught with excessive amounts of contraband? Will they end up getting in trouble, going to the hole, maybe even catching additional time added onto their sentences? And is there the possibility that some prisoners might actually snitch in an effort just to save their own ass? After Prison Show this summer in a theater near you.
You know, I may be a little biased saying this, but I could actually see that being a thing someday. So this shakedown that would take place without any sort of heads up or warning would stem ultimately from the prison commissary. You know, there's shakedowns that take place over all sorts of things, whether things come up missing across the prison, whether these are just annual shakedowns, or maybe the powers that be got some information about some illegal substances floating around the prison. There's all sorts of reasons why you're going to deal with shakedowns while serving time, but this one in particular stems solely and completely from the prison store. Now, you know, when you think about a prison commissary or the prison store, this place is like the Fort Knox of a prison. And you're talking about a place with super high security and also a place where there are some prisoners whose prison job it is to work inside of these prison stores. And you best believe that when prisoners come to this job and when they're leaving from it, they are definitely getting searched, if not strip searched, every single time. Also, the prisoners who usually get the jobs working inside of the prison store are going to be your more trusted prisoners. Maybe they're snitches. Maybe these are guys that have some sort of rapport with prison staff. This is definitely the sort of job where you really need to know somebody to get this position. So I can guarantee you, like 99.9% of any prisoners who work inside of the store, they are going to be absolutely above board, completely by the book. These dudes are following every single rule to a T inside of the prison. These dudes ain't dealing with no funny business, no contraband. They ain't involved in nothing. These are your exemplary, whatever the word is. These are your lead by example type of prisoners. Your ta-dun-ta-dun, warden, look at me, my shirt is super tucked in. I'm following all the rules. Can I work in the stove? Yeah, that's pretty much the type of prisoner who's gonna get a job handing out your canteen. But don't think for a second you won't have some conning, conniving type of prisoners who might be able to weasel their way into one of these type of jobs. And that is exactly where all of this story about this craziest prison shakedown begins from. Now you see, during this time, I probably had something like 6 or 8 months left before I was about to be released. And it was during this time where there were these two prison commissary workers who both were housed in my housing unit, who had somehow miraculously ended up in this super sweet position working in that prison store. And both of these guys were pulling off something similar to the likes of like the prison Italian job. Now, don't ask me how they were getting back or what they were getting, whether it was getting sent out the window, whether they were getting it bagged up in their own commissary. I have no idea how they were doing what they were doing. But what I do know is these dudes were robbing the prison store absolutely blind. And what they were taking wasn't just some zoom zooms and wham whams. We ain't talking about no ramen noodle soups, no sodas, and no honey buns. These dudes were taking some of the most high dollar items. And what those items were rechargeable batteries. Some of the most expensive items that you could purchase from the commissary. I think a single pack of 4 of these batteries cost something like $20. And these dudes were stealing hundreds of these batteries, doing this for months, somehow not getting caught doing so, working in the most high security prison job, Fort Knox of the prison, and also surrounded by other prisoners working that same exact job who, if seen these guys doing this, would absolutely tell on these dudes. Hey, what you doing with those rechargeable batteries? You stealing? Hey, we got one of them. Ring the alarm. Hey, ring the, he's stealing. He's stealing. Again, I don't know how they were doing it, but these dudes were tearing the prison commissary to pieces, and they were able to maintain this for a couple of months. And with the fact that somehow they were able to do this for so long, you've got to imagine that there were hundreds of these rechargeable batteries floating around the prison. These dudes were stealing these batteries that would go for $20 on prison commissary and then resell them out on the yard or through some sort of third-party hustle man for $10 a pack. Now you might think the batteries aren't that important in prison, but let me tell you something. They had just started selling the little JP4 players, the little portable like MP3 player where you could have all of your music on it. And these things took 4 AA batteries, an entire pack of batteries just to be able to play these. And dudes were listening to these things 24/7. Hell, I was doing the same exact thing. And with the fact that I was listening to my JP4 player just as much as the next guy, oh, you best believe I was buying plenty of these stolen, illegal, rechargeable batteries at $10 a pop. Why wouldn't you? That was half price. You was getting a brand new pack of batteries for half off. I would actually end up with more of these batteries than I knew what to do with. Because during this time as well, I still had my prison hustle going pretty successfully. So I had all sorts of commissary that I could spend without second guessing anything. At least not at that time I wasn't. It wouldn't be, but soon after I would definitely be second guessing everything that I had done. You know, it's funny. It's not until right when you're about to get caught or when you're getting caught that you really realize the error of your damn ways. God, oh my God, he's about to catch me with all these batteries. Why do I have to do something bad in prison? I mean, I know I'm in prison for being bad. Why couldn't I have just done the right thing this time? Matter of fact, when the other shoe dropped, that's pretty much the exact way that I was acting. It's actually pretty pitiful to think about. But you know, like any good prison hustle that one might have, it won't be but a matter of time before the bottom falls out of that and you get caught. And most likely the way that you'll end up getting caught is because some other prisoner, some snitching prisoner, is going to end up seeing what you're doing and telling on you. And I'm pretty certain that is exactly what happened to those two prison commissary workers who both were housed in my housing unit. You see, once the cat finally came out of the bag, months after these dudes had been stealing hundreds of these rechargeable batteries and also other things, these dudes were also stealing rolls of stamps as well. They probably stole thousands of dollars from this high security, high trust job that they had. But when these dudes ended up getting caught, nobody knew anything about that. It was just a regular day around the prison. I was sitting in the housing unit, minding my own business, watching TV. Everybody else was just doing whatever it is that they were doing. We had no idea that across the prison, at that prison store, that prison Fort Knox, these two dudes were being handcuffed and then taken to the hole. We had no idea any of this was taking place. And though I don't know exactly how they got caught or exactly what they got caught with when they did get caught, all I do know is what would end up happening next. Without any type of heads up, without any type of warning, alarm, nobody at the window seeing none of this, what must have been that one time when there's not a prisoner sitting up at that window being absolutely nosy, paying attention to everything going on outside of that window, without warning, all of a sudden, the goon squad just bust through the front door of the housing unit and began screaming and barking orders at everyone. Shake down! Shake down! Shake down! Get back to your bunk areas and don't move! If you move, you are going to get a disobeying a direct order charge. And you will also be charged with being in an unauthorized area. Shake down! Shake down! Shut the front door! What? How did we not know about this? How was there no type of heads up or alarm or nobody standing at the window? Why was that guy not standing at the window? He's always at the window. You know, anytime there's a shakedown that takes place, you need that little bit of heads up warning or just a little bit of time. You have to have that because I can guarantee you something like 75 to maybe even 90% of all of the prisoners in that cell block or housing unit definitely have contraband that they need to have at least 2 to 5 minutes to put in those hiding places if it's not already there. In a lot of cases, you would think if you got something that you ain't supposed to have, you're going to have it in a good hiding spot. But most of the time, you really don't. It could be some porn that you're not allowed to have. You just got it sitting out underneath your mat because you just got back from the shower going on a little prison date. It could be some onions or some green peppers smuggled out of the kitchen that you just got sitting in your locker because you're about to make you a prison meal. Most of the time, and as crazy as it sounds, prisoners don't really got that contraband put up as well as it should be. And with the fact that we had absolutely no heads up or no warning to anything that was taking place until this goon squad was standing right there in the front of the housing unit, right in the day room, screaming at all of us to say that the housing unit erupted in absolute pandemonium and chaos it's an understatement. I mean, this place literally went from 0 to 60. Guards! Guards! They're over here! They're trying to hide all the contraband! Guards! They're trying to hide! This guy right here is trying to hide all the contraband! Come get you real quick! Guard, can I get extra hot dog tray? I got all sorts of ammunition! Guard! And you know, I gotta be honest with you, I was going pretty damn crazy myself. I knew I had all sorts of these batteries that I had bought illegally off of the yard for $10 a pack. And the one thing about batteries that you gotta keep in mind is they keep a very tight tab on the amount of batteries that you have. Because you got too many batteries, you can stuff those things in a sock and start whipping that around. Boom! You got you a weapon right there. And they really keep track of how many batteries you have and also how many batteries you're supposed to have. Anytime you buy batteries, you're supposed to turn batteries back in. And if you buy those rechargeable batteries, those are all the batteries you're supposed to have. 4 rechargeable batteries. That is the max. I probably had something like 20 of these damn batteries. 5 packs of these damn batteries. Knowing damn well if they caught me with these batteries, I'm gonna get me a dumb ass contraband charge. And you know, I know that sounds absolutely pitiful. You're probably listening to this like, Joe, a contraband charge for some batteries? Who cares? That sounds like a super minor charge. And don't get me wrong, it is. But in my position, being that I only had like 6 months, maybe 8 months left until my release, you gotta understand one thing. When I first started that 7-year sentence, my original release date was July the 6th, 2015. I would pretty much immediately after getting to prison run my level and my time up catching all of these charges, tattooing, fighting, even getting caught with some pills, which were only ibuprofen, but that would be a drug charge, my release date would go from July 6th all the way to February of 2016. It would take me years, something like 2 years of not getting in any trouble to get my release date back to the absolute best that I could possibly hope that it would be. October 13th, 2015. And after working so hard to get my level back down and my release date back inside of 2015, somehow miraculously, I went 2 years without catching a charge. I'm sitting here looking at these 5 packs of rechargeable batteries, these stupid batteries. Y'all gonna be the reason why my release date goes back to 26. Damn it! And you know, I had no idea what to do, or more so, what to do with these damn batteries. These guards had just came in here screaming and barking at us, talking about you have to remain in your bunk area or you're gonna catch a charge for being in an unauthorized area and get a disobeying a direct order charge. So that's gonna be 3 charges I'm gonna catch just in an effort to try to go hide these batteries somewhere. Because at the same time I'm thinking about what I'm gonna do with these batteries, everybody else around me is thinking the exact same thing. So there weren't no, hey man, could you hold these batteries for I can't catch a charge? Hold the batteries, I'm trying to get rid of these batteries myself. And you know, we wouldn't find out until later that this whole shakedown stemmed from these rechargeable batteries and those 2 commissary workers who we would later find out got locked up in the hole and also caught additional charges. These dudes actually had to go back to court for theft charges for stealing these damn batteries. But with all of that, with nobody really knowing what this shakedown stemmed from, me being super concerned about getting rid of these rechargeable batteries that I had and a couple of other guys being just as concerned, and you best believe there were dudes who were worrying about a whole lot worse than just some damn battery. Dudes who had drugs, dudes who had cigarettes, dudes who had pieces of metal. Yeah, there were dudes who had a lot more concerns than just some funky old rechargeable batteries. The only good thing I had going for myself during this whole crazy shakedown was the fact that where my bunk was located, I was somewhere in the middle of the housing unit. But for the guys who slept in those first couple of bunks, they were absolutely hit. They had zero time to do anything at all, and them guards went immediately to their bunks, and that's where they began shaking down. So anything that they had, they were getting caught with. But for everyone else who had a little bit of additional time, it was almost to no avail. Because though you had time to try to hide things, where was you really gonna hide a bunch of batteries or even bigger things like them cigarettes or those pieces of metal? Dudes was wanting to get that contraband as far away from them and their bunk area as they possibly could. But the problem is, them guards had already said if you move, you catching you 2 additional charges plus whatever they're possibly going to catch you with. And because of this, dudes were losing their damn minds. And a couple of guys even tried to test the waters. This one dude tried to walk right past these guards and go to the restroom, and this dude immediately got picked up and scooped. Boom! By one of these guards saying, I told you to stay in your bunk area. When this guy hit the ground, whatever contraband he had that was inside of a sock down his pants immediately shot out his pants leg and immediately went rolling down the aisle. A couple of rechargeable batteries and a couple of little state shampoo bottles full of cleaning supplies. And this dude just caught him 3 fresh charges over some rechargeable batteries and some cleaning supplies that he wasn't supposed to have. Which really, if the guards would have seen that, it would have been like a 50-50 crapshoot whether they would have even cared about that. Those rechargeable batteries though we didn't know at the time that was exactly what they were looking for, might not have been that big of a deal either. I mean, he only had like 4 of them, whereas I had like 20. It was all but guaranteed they were going to see those batteries and realize I was getting those in a way I really wasn't supposed to be getting them. Now, you know, once I seen this guy who had just got slammed by this guard getting handcuffed and escorted out of the building, once I saw how this went down, I realized that there was probably not a lot of hope for me at all. I didn't know where I was going to put 20 batteries, which were going to be out of my possession, outside of my bunk area, when these guards had made it apparent that we were not to move at all. And with that type of thinking, I am immediately going into panic mode. Like, what am I going to do? Why did I have to get these batteries? I start to feel like I'm dealing with a panic and anxiety attack at the same damn time. Because at this point, it seems all but certain I am guaranteed to get caught with these batteries, to catch some additional charges, and to lose what little bit of good time I've been able to get back that I have worked so hard to acquire. You know, as silly as all of this may sound over just some rechargeable batteries, it is a scary situation to be sitting in when you're in prison and you realize you are in a situation where you are guaranteed to get in trouble, and there ain't nothing you can do about it. You're just gonna have to sit there and wear whatever's about to come to you. But you know, the damnedest thing would end up happening, and it was almost like a sign of fate or like some kind of an omen, some kind of like a really good sign. And though this would be a good thing for me, it certainly wasn't a good thing for the other people that this involved. But as I am sitting there freaking out over these stupid rechargeable batteries, not knowing what to do, feeling like I cannot get away, there's nowhere I can go where I can hide these, get them away from myself, and not have them in somebody else's area. As I'm sitting there dealing with all of this going through my mind right now, thinking I'm not gonna get released until 2016 behind these batteries. Yeah, it was absolutely that serious. But as I'm dealing with all of this, all of a sudden out of nowhere, all I hear behind me is some chairs begin to move. And you know, that's almost like a little prison saying, hey, you try to move some chairs? And what they mean when they say something like that is, are you trying to fight? Because anytime you're in jail or prison and you start to hear some chairs moving, or some feet slipping and sliding around, my sound effects are really off today, but I really hope you get the idea of what I'm trying to say here. Anytime you hear something like that, you automatically know there's some fighting that's going on. And what I heard behind me wasn't just some chair moving, I heard some chair throwing. All I heard was boom, 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 I don't know what sparked it. I don't know what caused it. And I didn't even see the initial chair being thrown, but I certainly heard it hit. And then I heard some feet get to moving, slipping and sliding. I heard 2 sets of them. And when I turned around, you had this young little white dude and this old head black dude absolutely throwing down in the back of the housing unit. Now, these 2 dudes slept across from each other. You've got an aisle that goes down the housing unit. You've got bunks on this side. You've got bunks in the middle. You've got bunks on the opposite side of the middle. And then you've got bunks on the farthest wall. But anytime that you've got your bunk right here in the middle and you've got a bunk by the wall, you're going to be sitting there facing a guy when you're sitting in your chair. You're going to be sitting in your chair just like this. And there's going to be another guy who's sitting opposite of you across the aisle, sitting in his chair, looking directly at you. It might not happen all the time, but it's guaranteed to happen at least some of the time. And this little young white dude and this old head black dude, these 2 dudes did not like each other. And you would always hear these 2 dudes arguing like all of the time. I don't even know what they would argue about. I don't even know why they didn't like each other. All I know is they didn't like each other and they was always arguing. And the way that it would end up being told to me later is that these 2 dudes were sitting in their chairs on opposite sides of the aisle facing each other. The young dude said something crazy to the old head dude. The old head said something crazy in return. And this bickering and arguing that had taken place for a pretty long time up until this point finally reached its boiling point as this goon squad was sitting in the housing unit shaking down. And it would be when this argument finally reached this boiling point that the young boy would get up, take his chair, throw it at the old head black dude, hit that dude. But before it even hit the dude, I heard this guy was already up on his way over to the young boy's cut, the young boy's living space or living area in between the bunks, and then commenced to beating the holy hell out of this kid for about the 10 seconds it took for the goon squad to get up, realize what was going on, and this was like the moment they had all been working and waiting for their entire lives. My God, we are in here doing a shakedown. And they got a fight going on in here. Boys, get the frisky feelers and the tasers out. We got some action. And again, though this situation wouldn't be good for this young kid and this old head, this situation certainly worked out for the better for the majority of the housing unit, including myself, who was praying that an opportunity would arise where they could get up from their little area and get to a location where they could get rid of whatever contraband they had. And it would seem that those prayers were answered from the moment that chair was thrown. Young boy throws a chair at the old head during a shakedown. They immediately get to fighting, or more so, the old head beating the holy crap out of the young boy. The goon squad can't help but to immediately take notice, and all of these dudes go back to the back of the housing unit in an effort just to get their hands dirty. Bang! thank you, young boy, for throwing that chair at that old head. Because I myself, just like everybody else, jumped up out of their chairs with that contraband, and it was like a damn mosh pit inside of this housing unit. I ain't ever ran over to the washer and dryer inside of the housing unit so fast in my life, but I did so taking with me all 20 of those batteries like... See you later, $50. I ain't even gonna miss you. Yeah, I threw those batteries right there behind that washer and dryer, just as everybody else was trying to throw whatever they had all over the place, whether behind the washer and dryer, behind the ice machine, inside the ice machine, trash can, bathrooms, toilets, wherever they could get, inside the microwave. Here, put all these batteries in the mic. As long as they don't catch you with it in your possession, and it's in a common area, such as the washer and dryer, ice machine, trash can, microwave, toilet, showers, wherever. As long as it's in a common area, it ain't yours. And you can't be charged with it unless they see you putting it over there. Now, of course, when all of these guards ran to the back and were trying to break up this fight and immediately saw all of the prisoners jump up in an effort to try to get rid of everything, they're trying to restore order. What are y'all doing? Hey, that's a charge, that's a charge. Hey, that's a charge, that's a charge. It was too late. Just as it would take them about 10 seconds to realize there was a fight going on and to rush to the back of the housing unit, it only took us about 3 seconds to get rid of everything that we had. 90-something prisoners dumping all of their contraband in the matter of 3 seconds. And there wasn't really nothing this goon squad could do about it. Plus, they had bigger problems to handle. They had to get this old head off of this young boy who had just thrown a chair at him. And I guess if they really wanted to push the issue, they could have run the cameras back, seen probably my play-by-play in slow motion. Oh, goodbye, $50. But for whatever reason, and luckily, they didn't. And also, just as luckily, maybe it was fate, maybe it was the gods answering our prayers. I don't know, maybe it was the young boy feeling like this was his only opportunity to stand up to this old head, though after he threw that chair, he got mollywopped in that back cut of the housing unit. I don't know exactly how or why all of this played out the way that it did, but all I do know is had I gotten caught with those batteries during this shakedown, your boy might not have been home till 2016. So you know, I'm pretty grateful and also really lucky that things worked out the way that they did. Hey, look, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did so, please leave a like and a comment letting me know exactly what you thought about it. As always, until next time, enjoy life, the free world. Never take a moment for granted, and make the most of every day. Peace!